Hello, and welcome to Desk Pop. Before we get into our regular pop culture-filled discussion, we must first briefly mention what's going on right now in our country.
There are lots of protests happening across the United States, and now even in other countries, in response to the horrible murder of George Floyd at the hands of several police officers, as well as the accumulation of other acts of police brutality targeting people of color that have gone unheard, unrecorded, and undocumented.
Our thoughts and our hearts go out to the protesters who are out right now, as well as those helping to amplify the voices that need to be heard. Please be safe, please be healthy, and please wear masks.
Though we both agree that it is sometimes healthy for people to seek outlets and distractions from what's happening around us right now, we both believe that not addressing this at all would make us complicit to the bigoted behavior and white supremacy that has led to these protests.
Because we ourselves are not experts or opinion leaders for the Black experience, police brutality, racial injustice, or systematic oppression, we will be providing resources linked in the description on what you can do to help from home, as well as some other places you can donate to help the protesters and those in need of financial aid.
Again, please be safe out there. All lives cannot matter until Black Lives Matter.
That being said, please enjoy this episode of Desk Pop.
Hello, Andy.
Hello, Brian.
Howdy.
Welcome to Desk Pop. Welcome to our humble little podcast, episode 55.
Yep. What have you been up to? How are you? Yeah.
I went to a store for the first time since February. If you're not counting gas stations, I went to a Target earlier today to pick up some Oreos and some Legos to help
Essentials.
the essentials, Oreos and Legos. That's just what my soul needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did that. I got the I think Twilight is silly, but there's some weird drive within me to learn everything there is to know about this universe and these characters. So I went to the book section and I bought the gender-swapped novel of Twilight, which I later found out is essentially the director's cut of Twilight. Because apparently,
is it written by the same person?
Yes.
Okay.
Stephanie Meyer, apparently when she released Twilight, she was legally not allowed to make any edits or adjustments to the book since it was published. So any edits or clarifications or loopholes in the story or whatever that she wanted to fix, she was now able to fix in this rewritten gender-swapped version of it.
Interesting.
So I am excited to dive in and
I hope you let me
apart.
know how it is.
I will. That reminds me, I think starting this week, we're
Monday.
starting a new segment called Late to the Party, where...
So that'll already be out when this podcast comes out.
Yes. So check that out if you haven't found it already. But we both discuss old pieces of media that we missed when during its heyday, and we've recently visited for the first time. So I definitely will talk to you about that on an episode of that.
I look forward to hearing. I have questions, but obviously you haven't read it yet, so I'll wait. I'll wait.
There's like a whole preamble before the book starts that I read through that talks about like the exact percentages of changes that she made, along with the justifications for the change, which isn't like, it's crazy. Like,
and this is just the first book. Like, this is just the Twilight version of the book.
Yeah, and apparently this book, it's not set up for a sequel, so the ending is different than the original story.
I was gonna ask how the man gets pregnant at the end with the baby.
How progressive. Yeah. I'll let you know, but fingers crossed. Apparently
I look
all
forward.
the characters are gender swapped except for the father and mother, I believe.
Ah, yes. Wouldn't want to do that.
There's a whole thing talking about like the divorce and like if the gender swap if
Oh,
those
you
genders were
mean
swapped in the time, Bella would have been in someone else's custody because it was more likely that the daughter would be with the mother instead of the father, and so there was just like this clarification about child custody in the 90s or something.
I thought you meant the vampire parents, and so I was like, that's
Oh.
weird. I was like, what would that change about this story?
It's like everyone's gender swapped except this one character.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I look forward to your review.
Yeah, I look forward to reviewing it. Well, I've never reviewed a book before. So, how are you, Brian?
I'm all right. I think I'm right there with everyone. Just kind of generally, the world has exhausted me. I've been playing Minecraft Dungeons with Aaron.
I've been trying, like, I tried to get Dana into Diablo,
Yeah.
and she wasn't about it, and so I've been really trying to sell her Minecraft Dungeons so we can play it. I have been.
It's four
captivated by
player. We got it on. I have it on PS4. I got PlayStation Live to play it. So.
PS Plus, Brian.
Yeah, PS Plus, whatever. I don't know.
PS Live.
Whatever. I don't know. I don't. It's so frustrating to have to pay for a service to then play online games. I like to play.
That's so dumb.
It's so stupid to me. I understand, like, obviously there are things that require upkeep, like game servers and such, but
yeah,
it's so, like, to play something on PC and not have to ever do that, except for like maybe World of Warcraft. But anyway, we've been playing that. It's been fun. I would recommend it. Yeah, other than that, it's been very busy at work, so I have woken up every day this week with a nightmare. Like, it's been a very stressful week in general. One of the nightmares with me and you arguing, so that was a weird one.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good.
I decided to visit you on the astral plane
And you were an asshole.
to confront you about. I don't know.
Yeah. So I just
What were we arguing about?
Well, it wasn't anything exciting. I think it's one of those things where, like, when you wake up, you kind of don't remember details. You know what I mean? But I want to say, like, we were just getting on each other's nerves in general, and we were both like, hey, can you fucking stop, to each other? And then it just kept escalating, and it was like, I woke up and I was all sweaty, and I was like, oh my God.
You wake up and you're at your computer chair and I'm, like, still yelling at you through the webcam.
It's real
This
life.
wasn't a dream.
It's happening right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So other than that, things are great. Other than the whole global situation and not being able to sleep, Minecraft Dungeons is wonderful.
Yeah, I definitely want to. I want to give that a try soon. I need to get. I'm still excited about this whole Reddit thing. I really think it's going to take off, but that's one of the. I need to ask the fellows over at Reddit if it's fun to play single player, just so I have that crutch just in case.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Aaron. He's been playing it by himself, like, when I'm not playing it. So I think he's been enjoying that. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely get it. But cool. I also, one quick thing, I went to play frisbee or disc golf.
Okay.
Yesterday.
That's fun.
Yeah, I surprisingly I liked it.
Yeah.
It there are way more rules and terms and gameplay styles that go with disc golf that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
There are several different types of frisbees that you switch through.
Yeah. Because that's the golf element. Like, when
Yeah.
you would switch, like, clubs, it's switching, discs.
There's, like, lore to it. It's crazy. Everything has, like, a specific term, and there are, like, all sorts of different trick throws and stuff. The person who took me was showing me all these different types of throws and
The
all this other
person
stuff.
who took you.
The person who took me. I woke up with a potato sack on my head, and my hands were zip tied together. And I was in the back of a van.
Your
The door
organs
opened
harvested.
up, and my organs harvested, and I was just thrown into this frisbee golf place, and I wasn't allowed to escape until I went all 9 baskets or holes or whatever. So
Basket holes.
the basket holes. You get the basketball, you throw it through the basket hole, everyone screams touchdown.
Yeah.
Game, set, match. Checkmate.
Checkmate, atheists.
Checkmate.
Yeah, so other stuff happened. RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12 had its finale episode
And
this Friday.
what a time to jump in with no context.
Yeah. So I made Andy, the resident straight of the podcast, watch the finale episode. He had not seen any of the other episodes of the season.
I've never seen like any other episodes in general.
So this is definitely
I've seen clips.
this is a different format. This is very different than a normal episode.
Yeah, that was one of the first notes I made. I was like, "What is it? How is this like compared to the like watching a regular episode?" Okay.
So first I want to get your kind of like unfiltered thoughts. Like, what was going through your brain? I know I obviously asked you to watch this. What were your first impressions?
Before I say anything like super, I don't really have anything negative to say.
Sure.
I think the thing that really hit me hard during this whole thing was that everybody was putting this together remotely.
Yeah.
Which was insane.
Yeah.
To like imagine logistically getting everyone to do these skits and like make space in their homes to do all these things.
Yeah.
That was the craziest part to me. So like amazing for like great for them. Like I haven't seen anything that I know Saturday Night Live tried to do something like that. I haven't seen it, but
I saw a couple sketches
of that.
Yeah, it
I
was
haven't
funny.
seen a production of that scale.
Okay.
Remotely, which was crazy. The humor is always like super offbeat to me. Like I recognize when a joke is happening, but I very rarely either I don't get it or I get it, but I don't find it funny at all.
Yeah, I mean, gay culture in general is like, it's drag culture is kind of speaks in this like very coded language and like lots of slang, and then to like add on to that, RuPaul's Drag Race itself as a piece of media is one of those pieces of media that becomes so self-referential like in its lifetime. Like it now at season 12, I mean, it's just constantly referencing back to previous moments in other seasons. So
it's like a friend group.
Yeah.
Like you develop your own language over time with inside jokes and memes and stuff.
And just to be clear, RuPaul's Drag Race did not invent drag language. That's a big point of contention among the, I guess, gay community in general. Is like there's this like influx of fans that only see drag through the lens of Drag Race, which is this like reality kind of TV show. And it's like, okay, there is more to drag than just that, but you know, it's obviously a very entertaining TV show. So I just wanted to kind of give you that context as well. That's a very big thing a lot of people feel. So
yeah, the only context I've ever had, and we went over it briefly before, was Drag Race and the story arc with Chandler's dad and Friends.
Yikes!
So that is my context.
Now you did actually watch the season All-Star season 4 finale with us.
I was in the same room as it happened.
You were in the same room in Louisiana when we watched it.
I will not go as far as to say that I watched it, because there were a lot of people in that room. They were all being very loud, and at that various other pieces of story happened in that time, which resulted in me just very much wanting to escape on my phone.
But yeah, so this episode is, it's very clearly different. It's filmed remotely. A lot of work went into putting it together, so that was kind of interesting to see how they handled it. But yeah, they've played with the format of the finale episode, and then the last couple seasons they've landed on this format of this kind of lip sync roulette thing, which is really exciting to watch. And they changed it for this, obviously. But what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that was like one of the maybe like that was probably the most negative thing I had to say about the show.
Sure.
Is that like I always hear like lip sync associated with Drag Race, like the final competition or something. So like them doing lip sync so often, does that get old? Do you feel that gets old after a while?
No, because that's what a drag queen, like outside of this TV show, that's what a drag queen does. Like they lip sync and perform songs. Like that is like the bread and butter of a drag queen. Obviously they're entertainers, but that is what they do. And so in each episode they only do they do a lip sync for your life. So the two bottom queens of the episode go head to head, and they have to lip sync against each other for the chance to stay in the competition. So it's kind of like there's stakes there. Sometimes it's very like, sometimes they're let down. Sometimes it's so exciting. And they kind of play with that in other things too, like in All Stars, which is like the redemption drag race, I guess you could say. Yeah. They do a lip sync for your legacy. So it's like the two top of the week get to duke it out to see who wins. But yeah, so that's another thing. But no, watching the like one or two lip syncs per episode is always that's the best part to me.
Okay.
So to have a finale that's like all lip syncs is really, really exciting. But yeah, it definitely was different this year. I still think they did a great job with what they had to work with. I think it was still exciting.
That was the level of production value given the current state of things was that was the most fascinating part of the whole thing to me.
Yeah, there's one clip where it shows each of the queens like unpacking a box of like production equipment that I assume that they set up and stuff that I'm like,
for the last lip sync.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. But yeah, so they did it differently this year. They had them do I forget which came first. I think they did the close-up lip sync first, or am I wrong?
Yeah, they did the close-up. I am fresh off of watching. I just watched it, and then we started recording.
It's been a couple days for me.
They did the close-up lip sync, and then
who was your favorite on that lip sync?
For the close-up, I would say Gigi.
Mm-hmm.
Gigi was my favorite. I think the one on the left, who
Crystal Method,
and yes, Crystal Method.
Yeah,
I think their makeup was not helpful in the lip sync.
I agree with that sentiment. Yes,
I feel like lip sync is all about,
it made them less expressive.
Yeah. You got to have like intense eyeliner or something like to make your face. You could read your eyes and your mouth movements more.
The more you change your features from being human-like, the harder it is to read them.
Yeah. So I think Gigi had the best. Also, from the general intros, because when I watch a show like this, in order to become invested, I have to pick like a person to root for.
Sure.
So I immediately picked Gigi. Mm-hmm. They had like the funniest intro.
Sure.
And the most variety in like their past clips. So,
sure.
But that was my favorite close-up lip sync. Yeah.
Sure.
For that, I think that they were the most expressive.
Mm-hmm.
And the only positive thing that the judges had to say about Jada
was that she moved closer and further away.
Closer and further away to the camera.
I was like,
yeah. That was,
yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't passive aggressive, but it was just like, good, you did a thing too.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I definitely had feelings, and I want to see before like I kind of inject my own feelings onto you. I want to see like what you were feeling. So then they do their each, like they chose, I guess, a song, and then they set up like an outfit, they set up maybe a backdrop for it, and they filmed kind of a music video. So what were your thoughts on those each individual videos?
So I don't know if my brain shut off or what, but I missed the memo where they said that that was going to happen.
Okay.
So they were like, yeah, so we're going to do the close-up lip sync thing. And so that was happening.
Yeah.
And then there was no intersection of them being like, they didn't talk about, the judges didn't talk about the close-up thing until after everything was finished.
Yeah.
So then just jumped straight to Crystal Method, and I wrote, what the fuck?
Her bird
because,
lip sync.
Yeah, she was a bird.
I'm like a bird.
Yeah, and it was horrifying and scarring, but I think, like, I'm still thinking about it now.
Yeah.
So I guess it was very effective.
Yeah.
There's a part where her acting as the mother bird vomits into the baby bird's mouth, which was also very effective in etching that into my brain.
Yeah.
It made me want to die, but the amount of work that probably went into that, like, that was easily the best one, just given the amount of work and creativity that went into that.
Sure.
Then Gigi Good went.
Uh-huh.
Take On Me was like my favorite song of the three.
Okay.
Again, a lot of work went into the background.
Yeah. That was impressive for me. I thought that was really cool.
They all, like, obviously if you're going to do drag, you have to be pretty crafty as far as, like, you know, picking up different skills and making things like on the fly. I am so disappointed there wasn't a shitty rotoscope joke in there.
Yeah.
Because, like, the whole point of that music is, like, you think of that song, you think of the music video, you think of the rotoscope part.
Sure.
And
I think she was trying to prove that she could do it practically, which, like, I can see that being like, if you're going to go from that angle, then you maybe want to avoid making any computer generated kind of effects. I don't know.
Sure. I was just thinking like a shitty MS Paint GIF or a thing that, like, I think that was a missed opportunity. There was a bit with like they got like a poster board and cut out like someone, and they kind of imitated the rotoscope effect there.
Yeah.
That was okay. I thought that looked visually better than the bird thing.
Sure.
But the bird obviously had
there was
way
just
more work and
something,
effects in there.
There was just a lot of interesting stuff happening in that.
Yeah. So I think the bird wins out of those two. Jada showed up in the third one. It was a little bit of a letdown because there wasn't like any effects or anything, but it had the best choreography by far.
Sure, yeah.
Which I think it had to be, because the outfit and the backdrop was like nothing compared to the last two. Yeah. So the choreography definitely made up for it.
So out of those three, what was your favorite?
So I wrote down, I don't want Gigi to lose, but I'm pretty sure all hope is lost now after looking at Jada's choreography. I think the Crystal Method was the best there.
Sure.
Jada was second place because the choreography was fucking crazy. And then Gigi was because, like, there was so much work that went into it. Yeah. But I feel like the ball was dropped on, like, you put so much work into this, and I feel like you didn't do a lot with it. Yeah.
I'm a little continue.
Then they, like, did the whole stereotypical reality show thing where they're like, we're gonna announce the winner, and then they all were picked. They were all picked to move on. I was memed. I thought that was stupid. I think it's very cliche. Like, every Lego Masters did that. Every show does that, and it's like expected now.
So, like, I've seen shows where they don't do that, and it's kind of disappointing because it's like, well, I at least want to see what they did, because obviously they've done all this prior to the episode. Like, I at least want to see what they did. I don't want it to, like, come It's weird when they're disqualified like 5 minutes before the
Well,
ending.
it's like, why lie to me? Like, why tell me you're gonna
For the drama.
Yeah, like you knew from the get go, you lying piece of shit.
RuPaul's pretty notorious for doing stuff like that. Like,
it's like drag me through.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm a sucker for reality competition shows too. I don't. I most of the time I don't like them or reality TV in general, but whenever I do consume it, like my heart was pounding during this. During this, but like I had no investment. It's just like that's just like how I handle watching like competition shows. I'm just like who's gonna get it? Who's gonna win? So then they cut to the whole. They cut to a montage of all the losers, I guess, or all the ones who didn't make it to the end.
All the losers.
all the fucking losers. They all get
all the other contestants. Yes.
They all get $2,000 bonuses, and then they were all like really happy to hear that, and it reminded me that like they're all not mega celebrities, like they're probably just regular people. It was like, oh, $2,000, like that's I could do some like $2,000 sounds great.
So like, let me tell you a little bit. Like when Drag Race happens, they are kind of celebrities, like in like the.
Well, I just mean like they're all probably not like, in huge mansions.
But
all have their own.
So to give like a little bit of context to the current like global pandemic, they haven't been out touring, and so usually what happens is when the season is airing, the girls from that season are touring different bars and different things, and they are making money. They're getting sponsorships. They're getting deals with people. They're getting lots of money. Obviously, I think not like incredibly wealthy, but they can be very successful. But unfortunately, none of them have been able to do that. So. Obviously they've been doing digital drag shows, like virtual shows, but I don't know if that's making the same income or less, or, you know what I mean? I don't know, but I mean, $2,000 is probably really good for them,
Yeah, that's because I was like $2,000. That's not like, but then I thought about it a little bit more, and like just I was like, okay, wait, like obviously $2,000 is like useful, but anyways, so I kind of had that. Epiphany before we went into the final lip sync. Final lip sync happened, and again, like Gigi just kept letting me down.
Yeah.
Like my first impressions of her was wow, like this is very diverse costumes.
Sure. Yeah. Like looks, different looks.
Yeah, very diverse looks all across the board. And then they show me that in a montage in the beginning, and then the rest of this episode is just continuously just letting me down. Like that wasn't what, that's not what Gigi's all about. From the 2 seconds that I.
Well, her trajectory on the main, like the show, she was in the top 2 the first episode, then she won like 3 episodes, and then towards the end of the season, she was in the bottom like 2 or 3 times, and then I think she ended up winning the final episode before the finale, but there was a real rocky moment at the end of the season for her. So
I feel like that's what I saw this episode.
Yeah, that's interesting that you picked up on that.
Yeah, because I was entirely sold from the beginning, and I was let down. So Jada had a really neat cape thing that she used during the lip sync. She threw it off, and it was like probably the coolest moment of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Crystal did the splits, and I know a little bit about Drag Race lore to know that though that is a common practice, not a lot do it like that. That's like every time they have to like bust out the big guns, they do the splits, right? That's like big thing.
Yeah, that is like not everyone can do that, but when they do it and they like slam into the ground or something, it's really shocking. And we have seen that a lot on the show. It's I think a lot of people are bored by it, but it still is very impressive. And I mean, doing splits, doing death drops, that kind of thing. Yeah, still impressive.
Crystal did the splits.
Yeah,
and so I was like, that is probably noteworthy.
It's probably.
Gigi had a costume transformation.
Yeah.
And it was the definition of underwhelming.
It really was.
It was like, what?
Yeah.
What? Like, oh, wow, I'm so surprised.
Yeah.
There was like a sight gag at the very end where she lifts up her skirt and you see the yellow brick road for a few seconds. And you're like, like, you know, if they did that earlier, that probably would have been funnier or whatever. But, you know, whatever. At the end, I figured I thought Jada had the best lip sync at the end. And I was correct. They won. Yeah. And I was very...
Just curious, though. So my thoughts were, it was kind of interesting. Like, so if RuPaul did decide 2 people to send on and get rid of someone, who do you think would not have made the cut at that end there?
Let me scroll up and see.
Because I was thinking, like, oh, is Jada not going to make it? Like, I didn't think she did well in the first one. I thought she did all right in the second one, but I was like, oh, man, is she not going to make it to the 3rd lip sync?
I think it definitely would have been between Gigi and Jada. Gigi had the best close-up lip sync.
Yeah.
And I think Jada would have left. If it was decided by the first 2, I think Jada would have left.
That's kind of how I felt, and I was like...
clearly had put way more work into their the music video thing.
Sure.
Whereas Jada, like...
I felt like Jada tried to make it like a thing of like, oh, I'm in a robe and I'm on the couch, but it wasn't... Seeing it that compared to like Crystal's where she's a bird vomiting into her own mouth was just like... It was missing something for me.
Also, Gigi had like a whole backdrop and like had props.
Yeah.
Jada's came across as really lazy, but the only redeeming quality of
is
it
that
was
she's a good performer, which in essence like should be what we're critiquing, but it's hard to critique someone's like art when it's like more than just performance. Like maybe it is crafting or maybe it is, whatever. Well, it's like,
the other ones were just more like, because I mean the other 2 had choreography that not as good as Jada's, but they also had that in addition to outfits and props and backdrops. So it definitely seemed like Jada's was put together like the day before.
It's just interesting. I was just curious what you thought.
Yeah. But I understood why that Jada was picked at the end. And I thought it was really weird that they were like, Jada's the winner. And this is the finale. So this is the last episode of the season. They're like, yeah, they're the winner. Bye.
Yep.
And then it just, and then it just stopped. And I was like, is this normal?
Yes.
Is this what Drag Race is? They're like, yep, thanks, bye.
So in a normal episode, that's not what it's like. But all of the finales are... they're pre-recorded in a way that they record all of the possible endings. Like they'll record Gigi winning, they'll record Crystal winning, they'll record, and I don't know if they did this specifically in this instance because it's not usually they do it in front of a live audience, so they have to record like, there's a tie, they win as a tie, and they win, so they record all these different endings so that the main audience, or I don't know why I said main audience. So
the people leaving can't leak the information.
Exactly. Right? They can't be like, oh, obviously people are often like, well, it looks like this person did really well, and so like, but yes, they film a lot of different endings, so you never know. So when it gets to that point, it's like, they can't really, it doesn't feel authentic probably to them when they win, like on camera, because it's like they get 5 seconds
all
of like
the possibilities have been
and then they know like they're gonna film the next one right after this, and so it's kind of like but then they do a live reaction oftentimes to the finale. Like it's really weird. Usually it'll be at a club where all the 3 queens will be, and then the winner will come out and get crowned and all this, so it's kind of like a part of the moment of the show you don't see.
There has to be a better way to do that.
I
can't think of any, but that just sounds really... Because what do they do with all that extra footage? Is that in, like, the bonus features of the Blu-ray if you buy the season DVD?
I don't think there are season DVDs.
If I was a fan of this, I would be upset that you don't get to see the unused footage in the, like, like the alternate
Yeah.
endings and stuff and the special features of that seems like let's bring the demand for that. Come on, we got to rally behind.
I'm looking to see if they have Blu-rays. You can get.
There has to be Blu-rays of Drag Race. That is like way
I
too
don't
big of a.
know. You can get season 3 on DVD.
That.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not a part of this fandom, so I won't.
I don't think they
get
exist.
too passionate about it, but come on, guys. We need. That sounds like okay, whatever. Let's get the Drag Race Blu-ray.
So
what if they take it off Netflix? What if they take it off? Are you gonna get it?
Well, we don't have it. We don't have it on Netflix. You have to use a VPN and go to the UK, and then so we don't even have it. You have to use their special World of Wonder streaming platform to watch it. Technically.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
So I had to use a VPN to
Yeah.
get the UK version of Netflix,
Yes.
so I can watch this. So I could watch a really long music video of them telling me to vote.
Yeah.
In the US.
Yeah.
On the UK Netflix.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
it's just it's one of those things where they just film it for the American audience, and then like when they package it for other countries, they don't change anything. They just here's the episode.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. They after every episode of the season they've done a like vote, thing.
Nice.
But yeah, so were you happy with the ending? You're happy with the winner?
I understood the reason. Like it's one of those like if I'm playing Smash Brothers with somebody and I lose, I can't get upset because like I know why I lost. I can look back and be like, okay, like they did this and I could have done better, so it's fine. And that's how I feel about this.
Okay.
Obviously the favorite that I picked was not was
underwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also didn't watch the series up until this point, so the artificial investment I had in the character that lost, was what once that happened, I was like, okay, like I'm indifferent. But I understand why Jada won.
Okay.
Good for them. Overall, I enjoyed the experience of watching this episode.
Good.
And I probably won't watch this show again unless
I force
another
you.
episode.
Well, let me tell you, All Stars 5 airs and next week. I'm not lying. So you might be watching another finale episode here in 13 weeks
I'm fine
or
with
whatever.
just watching the finales. That's okay. I could do that. I don't have the room. I don't have the room in my life for another thing to keep track of and engage with. And
I wouldn't want you to because it's kind of like my thing and not yours.
Oh wow. Well, maybe I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna learn more about it than you, and then I'll be the expert.
I don't think I've ever had a friend that's been more invested in Drag Race than myself. So like, I don't know. I that is one of those things where I'm like firmly like, oh, this is my thing. Like it's not any of my other friends. It's my thing,
Nice.
And I'll subject them to it. And but yeah. So I would have been happy with any of the three of them winning. I was happy with Jada. Yeah. I think it is what it is. It's over. It's done with.
It is what it is. It is.
All Stars 5. There's no breathing room. You can't enjoy. Poor fucking Jada who won. Like, can't enjoy it because of the pandemic. And then now there's going to be a new winner announced in a couple weeks anyway. So,
that reminds me. What was the development behind the one that was problematic in the beginning of the?
So she made it.
When did they get voted out?
She made it all the way. So that's why they did this. So they basically every episode before the episode there was a statement on the screen that was like, in light of Sherry Pie's recent whatever, she will not be at the finale. Like she will not be at the live finale taping or whatever. And so people were like, that's weird. Why would they put that if she didn't like? I don't know, like it's kind of implies she made it all the way, and then like as you watch the show, she did in fact make it to the top 4, and yep, she was not there, so there was a top 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is very interesting.
But had she not been a creepy predator, she would have been on this episode as well, and then it would have they probably would have done a top 2 had that been the case. So
That makes sense.
so maybe they did a top 3 just because it was like it seemed like they needed more. I don't know, but yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
very interesting.
that's a very strange world to
Yes.
get a glimpse in.
Yep.
Um,
Now we can move to another world.
yes, Nintendo World. Hashtag calculated. So some pictures have I don't want to say leaked because leaked
Yeah.
implies that Nintendo is
Like
or
had
Universal's
them and then
yeah, they're
yeah.
actively trying to keep people from sharing this, but it
Yeah.
doesn't seem like they are taking it down.
Sure.
Um,
I mean,
but
yeah.
aerial photos of the current construction layout of Nintendo World and Universal Studios in Tokyo has released.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, oh boy, is it a lot smaller than I thought. But
Yeah.
it's beautiful all the same.
Man, it's tiny. I was like, geez.
I didn't know what to expect because I figured. So, did you ever go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter?
No, I have not been.
So that park is about the same size as this Mario expansion.
Okay.
It's pretty small, but they do a lot with that space.
Sure.
I don't know why Mario would have been different, but I imagined it would have been bigger. It's very condensed, but I think it actually helps it because it looks like there's way more things going on in that space.
Sure, yeah.
Which is really neat. I'm really happy with this.
Mm.
You see a Yoshi figure under a tree, which is it's always really neat to see high quality statues of characters. There are Yoshi carts that people can ride in that seem to go through tunnels around the park, which is really neat. I'm disappointed. It doesn't look like Peach's Castle is. I think Peach's Castle is going to be the entrance point of the park.
Yeah.
And I'm sad that that's not a setting you can walk into.
Yeah, I agree.
That was a missed opportunity. Like what? Where's the? That could have totally have been that was their Cinderella's castle.
Yeah.
And maybe there's hope. Maybe there's like.
I mean, maybe from the outside it looks really cool. I don't know, but it almost looks like it's facing the inside of this park. So.
Yeah. It also everything since it's an aerial shot. It's kind of obvious that like you see all the construction and stuff on the top of the buildings, but I'm sure if you're standing in the park, you don't see any of that. So I'm sure it looks fully immersive. That castle probably looks real when you're standing in the park. But
well, my thought was like
kind of underwhelming.
It looks like it's still like it's obviously not completed.
Yeah.
And then also like when I first saw the image, I thought like in my brain because I was like, this is so small. I was like, maybe this is like they built things and they're gonna kind of like shift it and like move them or whatever. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's not a possibility because like all the infrastructure that would be required to like move an entire building. But like, yeah, it does just seem so like man, imagine that crowded on like the first day. Like,
yeah, that's gonna be crazy. It was originally scheduled to debut during the 2020 Olympics, so I feel like it's pretty close to completion. Given I don't remember when the Olympics were supposed to start, but that was the initial deadline. I'm sure it was obviously the Olympics were postponed, and I'm sure construction was probably thrown for a loop when the pandemic started. But it looks pretty close to the model that they released as a promo.
Yeah.
Which I'm told is not a very common trait with production models for park expansions. They usually
interesting.
They usually keep the main focus or concept of it, but they usually change it a lot over development.
Interesting.
So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The model also showed a second part of the park, which was entirely centered and themed around Donkey Kong, which has not been built. But
didn't the same model, because I know I don't see any photos of it, but didn't the same model also have like a Hyrule area or no?
No, it did not.
Okay.
But I know that I'm because since it's called Super Nintendo World, I'm sure that's in the cards because like I don't see why else they would call it Nintendo World as opposed to like Super Mario World.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're like keeping that reserved for potential
Because I was kind of
IP
under
expansion.
I was under the impression that there was a Hyrule and Pokemon
I know
zones as well.
I know that they intend on making a Donkey Kong expansion,
Yeah.
or at least they intended at some point because the production model exists.
Sure.
I'm sure that's going to be like a phase 2 of the park, which is kind of weird, given Donkey Kong's stance as far as the plethora of Nintendo IP.
Given
like
Donkey
why,
Kong's stance on what?
yeah. But I think that they also talked about wanting to have a Pokemon expansion
Yeah.
somewhere else in the park. But
That would make sense to me because it's such a high grossing franchise.
Yeah, it's they did mention it. I know I've read it somewhere, but there's been no word or no images or anything talking about it. And I'm so surprised. Again, maybe it's too soon, but Animal Crossing taking off how it did has to affect this park in some way. Like
Maybe.
there has to be some conversation happening about implementing Animal Crossing into this somehow with an expansion or something. I don't know.
Well, I just like when I imagine like a Nintendo world, what I would imagine is not just like Mario area and Donkey Kong area. I would imagine like kind of maybe a dedicated Mario area, but then also like an odds and ends like kind of everything else, like maybe like a Luigi's Mansion thing, and then like an Animal Crossing thing, and then Pokemon, like kind of like a melting pot in like another section of the park.
Similar to like Disney, how like Tomorrowland has like Tron. And
sure, yeah.
It used to have some Star Wars stuff, Lilo and Stitch, yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what I would imagine. So it's kind of interesting to me that it is so segmented. Like looking at these Mario, like the Nintendo World images we see, it is only Mario. Like it is Mario and that's it.
I think Mario as a brand definitely stands on its own. I
Sure.
think looking at like Hogsmeade and like the Wizarding World of Harry Potter thing, like that stands on its own. Simpsons is a little weird to have it as an expansion.
Sure.
That's like a very strange part of their park. Mario definitely stands on its own. Donkey Kong is the one that confuses me.
Yeah.
I could definitely see the mentality of having some standalone Nintendo rides.
Sure.
Because like I don't see Kirby getting an expansion ever. No. But I could totally see like a ride.
Kirby's Kirby's Air Ride. Yeah.
Kirby Air Ride.
Yeah.
He teams up with Harry Potter and they go around the park.
And Master Chief.
And Master Chief shows up. But yeah, it's weird how they decided to do this, and I'm curious how much or how involved was Nintendo in this.
I'm sure very involved, I would imagine.
Looking at this, it just reminds me of because they were really stressing. I forgot the name of it. Not Sandbox. It's like a Zen Garden mentality with level design in Mario Odyssey, where they were like, how do we make a small area for Mario to run around in, but have as much condensed activities and things to do in this level as possible.
Yeah.
And I feel like this park reflects that same mentality that they have when designing levels.
I could see that. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Because like they definitely maximize the potential in the space.
Mm-hmm.
Like it looks like they used every square foot of this like is being occupied by something like a ride or a booth or some sort of store you can go into, which is neat. But yeah, I think what's currently on the docket right now is a Yoshi's Adventure or Yoshi Ride, which just seems to be carts that go around the park. It doesn't seem like
they don't seem very large either. Like it doesn't seem like a very like wide. It's not even going around the entire Mario area. It's like a third of the Mario area.
Yeah, it looks like it almost cuts the map completely in half.
Yeah.
like on the top half. It's like a strange shape, but it looks like it goes into 2 different showrooms. So maybe there's like some production there with
Maybe,
like
yeah.
some scenes.
Yeah.
But it seems like some sort of like cheap, or not cheap, but like
this seems cheap.
like a tram system or something. Like, oh, you're at a park, you have children, you put them on
Yeah.
the little train thing, and
Yeah.
you just sit for a bit.
Yeah.
There's a Mario Kart ride which takes place in Bowser's Castle.
I'm very hyped for that. I think that's really exciting.
It's interesting because you see Bowser's Castle, the front of the castle and the picture of the construction, and then there's this huge warehouse behind, and that's where the Mario Kart ride takes place in, which is so weird to think that the inside of that building is probably decked out to look like the inside of a fictional monster's castle.
I hope that they, like, I would be really happy if they just did Bowser's Castle, but I hope that they do like maybe some other references to Mario Kart.
Oh, they gotta do
Rainbow Road. A Rainbow Road, or I think that would be really cool.
That's way too like in sync with Mario Kart to not be.
I hope. I feel like kind of what we're seeing now maybe doesn't persuade me to think that. That almost makes me think like, nope, it's going to be Bowser's Castle. Like what you see is gonna be what you get. But hopefully I'm proven wrong, because it would be cool to see Rainbow Road.
What else do we got? I think those are the only 2 rides right now. There's some play areas. Let's see what else we have. I'm looking at
how many rides are in Harry Potter.
There's a train that takes you from the main park to the Harry Potter park, which I'd consider a ride, because there's like there's screens on the window, so different events can happen on the train on your way there.
Sure.
You get there, there's a bank, Gringotts escape thing. You're like getting into a vault and helping Harry fight a dragon.
Yeah.
There's like 2 like small roller coasters.
There's a Hagrid one, right? Like
that's a very new one that was just added. And then there's like a Hogwarts escape. There's maybe 5 rides there. 6 if you include the latest one that they just added.
So like maybe 5, like, because I think 5 would be good, but like right now seeing 2, and obviously yes, we're still in construction and this is not the completed park, but I'm like, I hope there's more.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up.
Like if you're gonna go for it, why don't you really go for it? You know.
Let's see what we got. Yeah, there's not a lot of information I could really see here.
Yeah.
There's some. There's a web Rectify Gaming. It doesn't look super trustworthy, but there's talk about like a Zelda Kingdom with a Deku Tree and a interactive.
Is this just someone
Luigi's
hoping?
Mansion interactive Target play ride, Bowser Airship ride.
Luigi's Mansion, like, to be like the blaster ride, like that is such a missed opportunity if they do not do that.
That totally makes sense to me. Yeah.
That would be my favorite ride already. Like I love those silly like shooting rides.
Bullet Bill's flying ride, Pokemon Training Academy.
Take me. I gotta go.
The Donkey Kong expansion, they do have a patent that was reserved a while back, talked about a special type of ride vehicle that would give off the illusion as if it were quickly changing tracks mid-ride, which is
it just
very reminiscent
a barrel that just launches you?
It's similar to like the minecart segments of Donkey Kong.
Okay.
And looking at the model for the Donkey Kong expansion, there are mine carts going in and out of this huge temple-looking building. So it seems like there's like an intense Donkey Kong ride in the cards at some point, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be a launch thing.
You know, the more I look at the Donkey Kong expansion, the model of it, it looks... I can understand why they would choose this as a setting for another part of the park. Like, it's very much like every amusement park kind of has that aesthetic style.
Like a jungle
kind of a
thing.
Yeah, so I can see why they do that. So I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. I'm not the biggest Donkey Kong fan, so... Like,
I just don't think there's enough there to carry.
Sure.
like how many attractions based off of Donkey Kong can you have in this expansion? Like it's like you're creating this whole environment to house maybe one or two things.
Maybe they'll surprise us and there'll be maybe the plan is to like have like 2 rides in the main area, 2 rides in the Donkey Kong area. Maybe that's the goal. I don't know.
That'd be neat.
So they'll split them up that way.
I could see why they would go with Donkey Kong, because like I feel like the obvious choices here are Mario and Zelda.
Yeah,
I
think Pokemon is also like a very like.
Oh yeah,
that's a juggernaut. Pokemon, I want to say, like, I don't have the facts and figures pulled up.
I think it's a number 1.
It's the like highest grossing like franchise. Yeah.
And Harry Potter is this, I think, 2nd or 3rd, which is
right.
It's crazy given how huge Disney is.
Yeah.
And Universal now has 2 of like the biggest properties.
They have to.
And it still
they
like
got to unite.
Yeah. But I feel like, so if you went with a Zelda expansion, how would you visually make it stand out from a Harry Potter expansion? Because I feel like Zelda is very like castles, kind of fantasy type settings. Maybe you'd make it like an enchanted woods or something.
Yeah, I would make it kind of like a forest, kind of maybe like similar to the Avatar area. I don't know. I haven't been there either, but kind of that aesthetic with some castle stuff mixed in. Maybe you do like a Breath of the Wild kind of area, like where it's like a more fieldy and like mountainous. I don't know.
Yeah.
Artifacts.
And then with Pokemon, I can't like Pokemon.
I think maybe that's why
that can be done, but I think like maybe a city, like making a mock city that's like a Pokemon.
They would have to do like a Celadon City or like something like that where it's
they'd probably make up like a city name similar to like Galaxy's Edge. It's like some fictional planet in the Star Wars universe. They'd probably make up some Poketown or something.
It'd probably be like that, yeah.
But there's not like a lot that could be played around with there. Like maybe, except for maybe the storefronts, like all the signs from Detective Pikachu are really fun to see.
Mm-hmm.
But with Donkey Kong, there's like temples and there's mine carts and there's like there's crashed plane imagery that's like seen in a lot of new Donkey Kong stuff, and his like hut. It's visually different and special. And with Zelda and Pokemon, I'm like,
I think you could do it. I think there are ways you could do it. If you gave me like 2 weeks and a model, like I could bring you something that I think would look really nice. I have some ideas in my head. So Nintendo, if you're out there, Universal, if you're out there listening, just hire me and I will come up with all the right ideas for you.
I'm actually, what would you think about circling back to this next episode, maybe briefly, and we can kind of share some brainstormed concepts for some Nintendo attractions for Universal?
Yeah, we can do a couple.
Yeah, because now that you say that, I'd like to kind of fiddle around with some ideas in my head, because I think that'd be a neat thing to kind of elaborate on some of these concepts. The Luigi's Mansion thing just seems so.
I have to see a Luigi's Mansion. The dark rides are always my favorite. Like that is always so exciting for me. I don't know why.
I feel like Luigi's Mansion. Well, dark rides are my favorite too, just because you get to see like really advanced animatronics.
They're my favorite.
The effects in the dark rides, like the water rides that take you from room to room, it's like those are the best.
Yeah.
Because you have like you get like super up close and personal with like these like really realistic pieces of machinery, where like the ones where you sit in front of a screen and
they're the most immersive type experiences, the dark rides, because it's like you're fully like you're in this environment that they have crafted, rather than like on a roller coaster. It's just like it's a ride and it's fun, but there's like, even if it's themed, it's not necessarily, it's just a roller coaster. It's not like you are Wonder Woman flying through the air, like, I don't know.
Well,
she doesn't fly.
Speak for yourself.
She has a invisible jet, but
why isn't that a ride? One thing I don't understand, and this will probably be my last thought on it before I get to brainstorming new ideas.
Okay.
Is imagine, like, I think a dark ride would make perfect sense, or a shoot 'em dark ride would make a lot of sense with Luigi's Mansion, but then also Mario Sunshine.
Yeah.
Like I'd imagine it'd be really interesting to shoot water at slime or goo all over a spot, and you're trying to see how much your team can clean up.
I could see them fulfilling different niches in the sense that like Luigi's Mansion would be like the quote scary one, and then Super Mario Sunshine would be like the entire family, like everyone can go do that one.
It
that
seems
one's
like
fun.
a very collaborative.
Yeah.
It seems less likely because Nintendo's not very keen on referencing Mario Sunshine as much anymore, as Luigi's Mansion's like obviously an ongoing series now.
Right.
But
maybe Super Mario Sunshine is like a like water area inside the main like park. You know what I mean? Maybe it's like there's like at King Boardwalk, how they have the like star shooting water out of the middle, that circle. You know what I'm talking about?
That would be a neat like parlor game or like a carnival game type thing. Yeah, you have like a little flood and you shoot at a target and the thing goes up and you get a stuffed prize.
I was meaning like the water that like actually shoots out of the ground and you like run through. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. I was thinking of
It would work that way too though. Like if you're like a carnival game. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like there's ways you could do it.
Yeah. Well, do you have any ideas for Nintendo rides? Let us know.
How did you feel about the Drag Race Season 12 finale?
That too. Yeah. So thank you for listening to Desk Pop.
Listening or watching.
If you've enjoyed listening to our thoughts on these topics, please consider subscribing and liking this content. As well as
if you hate it, still engage with it. Still give us a thumbs down, because that honestly that changes that boosts us up in the algorithm.
There we go. But yeah, if you have any ideas on topics that we can cover, or if you have any thoughts on these you'd like to reach out to us with, definitely hit us up at Desk Popcast on all major social media platforms, as well as at Desk Popcast or deskpopcast@gmail.com. Yeah.
Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
See you next week.
I was gonna thank you back. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah.